Greetings, everyone. This is Bishop Jaime Soto, and we are gathered again for another Bishop's Corner. There has been a lot going on. Obviously, we're very concerned about the pandemic and its effect on our individual lives, as our lives of our families, but also just in society in general. And we're also just very concerned about the racial unrest that continues to trouble the country. But there have been a lot of activity going on in the Supreme Court of the United States that it's important for us as people of faith to understand what's going on. And so for that reason, I've asked Mr. Ray Burnell, who used to work for the California Catholic Conference, is now working for Christian Brothers Investments, but is still very much involved in Catholic education and understands the implications of recent Supreme Court decisions that support Catholic education. And I'd like Ray to talk a little bit about that. Ray, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bishop. Good to be with you again. Let me highlight there are two very important Supreme Court cases that just came out within the last few weeks, and they really do reinforce and empower Catholic school education. The first one, Our Lady of Guadalupe School versus Morrissey, is actually consolidated with another one, St. James versus Beale, but that came out on July 8th in a 7-2 decision, which is really good. It's very strong on both sides of the aisle. And it found that two parish schools in Los Angeles acted properly in not renewing teacher contracts. The Supreme Court affirmed that the right of Catholic schools, free from any government interference, to choose the educators who will teach and model the Catholic faith, that they have that right to do that. The court strengthened the ability of private religious schools and other religious institution employers to basically invoke what's called the ministerial exemption. And so that allows them to really control the ministers that are coming into the school and succeeding in their school. In terms of our Catholic schools, in terms of our church, education is a central part of our mission. So this particular decision really affirmed that the Catholic schools have the right, now recognized by the Constitution, to select the people who are going to be performing that ministry. And this really does reinforce the ministry itself and the quality of Catholic school educators, since that is such a core piece of who we are as church and as we are as a ministry, as those who are actually teaching the faith and those who are modeling the faith. So that's the first. Please.
Let me just interject on that, Ray. It goes to, I think oftentimes the tendency was to want to try to reduce religion to a subject and to a certain, and to a certain topic that was discussed during the school day. But for us, Catholic education permeates everything, and that there is a certain sense about our values and our sense of our relationship to God that has something to do with literature, that has something to do with math, with science, and that we want our whole system to be permeated with those values, and that we want those who are part of that, part of the school community, to help us in inculcating those values and those aspirations in the hearts and minds of our young people.
You are absolutely correct, Bishop.
Yeah. So
I think being a Catholic school principal for 18 years, both at the elementary, junior high, as well as the high school level, we infuse our Catholic values and we infuse our Catholic teachings throughout the curriculum and throughout the life of the school and the community of the school. And it does integrate into, as you pointed out, which is it's often overlooked, you can integrate it into every single subject. That's what makes a Catholic school education Catholic.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Why don't you talk a little bit about the other one that is also a very important decision?
Yeah, it's very exciting as well. I've been working with the USCCB and the conference for, probably about 30 years on the issue of parental school choice. And so this one is a very important one, and when related to that. But really on June 30th, the court decided in a much closer vote, 5-4, in a case called Espinoza versus Montana Department of Revenue. And it found that religious schools, and these were Catholic schools in this case as well, but religious schools should have the same access to public benefits as other private schools. The U.S. Supreme Court determined that a no-aid provision that's in Montana's Constitution, which forbids qualifying families from using the state's scholarship program, could use it to attend a religious school. And that when they were using that Blaine Amendment, I'll go into it in a little bit, but when they were using that no-aid amendment, it actually violates the U.S. Constitution, which protects the free exercise of religion. So this decision really articulates a very strong rule of law now, that when a government creates a public benefit program, it cannot exclude families or schools of faith-based schools, merely because they are religious. If you denying a generally available benefit solely because they're religious imposes a penalty on the free exercise of religion. So the opposite of that conclusion would endorse hostility toward religion. So by the United States Supreme Court saying this particular part of the state constitution, which says you cannot have the same benefits of other private entities, was unconstitutional. And this really can, and I want to emphasize can empower Catholic school families with more access to state aid across the country, and really does open up some particular opportunities for us here in California, because we have a Blaine Amendment as well. In fact, we have two Blaine Amendments, which basically says the state cannot appropriate any money towards religious institutions, and the state cannot provide any type of support or aid whatsoever. And this is saying that if you're already providing it to other private entities, you cannot deny it because to religious institutions. And that's really key. And Bishop, we talked about this at the last Education Committee of the California Catholic Conference in April. If we got it, we were expecting a favorable ruling in this case. And if we got a favorable ruling in this case, what then? What now? Well, you first need to take a look at those areas that private entities are currently receiving state aid. So what are private preschools using right now that religious ones are not allowed? So California does provide state aid for preschools, including private secular ones. In addition, school districts pay students with disabilities to attend secular private schools when the districts are unable to offer those services to the students in need. And the state has also created a child savings account and Cal Grants for college. Each one of these, the preschools, students with disabilities, and extending the child savings account or Cal Grants down to the elementary and secondary level, with this new Supreme Court decision, it does give us legal and constitutional support for arguing that these need to be expanded to include Catholic preschools, Catholic families who have students with disabilities being able to attend our schools without further regulation, and perhaps extending Cal Grants, which are already available to Catholic colleges and universities, and children's savings accounts for college, bringing that back down and perhaps to the secondary level, maybe even the elementary level. So I think it opens up a great opportunity for us and a lot of work.
I think that in the midst of a lot of the challenges that we face in the whole area of religious liberties, that these recent cases are good news and encouragement for us to continue. Absolutely. To insert our place in Californian society, and that we have something to contribute to the common good. The last court case that I wanted to bring up it just came out in the last couple of days, was the Little Sisters of the Poor case. Absolutely. I think it was Little Sisters of the Poor versus Pennsylvania, and that case the public discourse on it got really tied up around the whole thing of the access to contraception, but at the heart of it was the separation of what is a church and then what is what they called religious affiliated. And right. It made you have the government intervening to define what is religious activity. So you had a church on one side that and then you had religious activities charities, Catholic hospitals, and other organizations that engage with society that were not considered churches or were not considered religious organizations and were treated differently under the regulations of the Affordable Care Act. And so that this case wasn't really about, it wasn't just about access to contraception. It was about how they define religious organizations.
Right.
And so the court, in the decision that they made, protects our religious organizations of Catholic hospitals, Catholic social services, and even in Catholic schools from being defined outside of the perimeter of what is called a church or a religious organization that is protected by the Constitution. So I think that this was a significant decision as well, and all of this. Again, in the midst of many challenges that we face, it gives us cause for encouragement. And also, it does give us the responsibility as Catholics to continue to engage society and continue to do the good that God calls us to do in society to try to further the building up of the kingdom of God. Again, I want to thank you very much for Ray for joining me on the program. And anybody who is interested in more details about this, please go to the website and look for the diocesan website and look for more information about how we as Catholics can continue to express our faith and live our faith in the public square and help to build up the kingdom of God, a culture of life in our society. God bless you.
Yeah, God bless. Thank you.